how badly has Hillary Clinton been damaged by the FBI's investigation. The Factor staff put together a series of statements made by Secretary Clinton and then refuted yesterday by FBI Director James Comey.
I did not email any classified material to anyone on my email. There is no classified material.
From the group of 30,000 emails returned to the State Department in 2014, 110 emails in 52 email chains have been determined by the owning agency to contain classified information at the time they were sent or received.
I responded right away and provided all my emails that could possibly be work-related.
The FBI also discovered several thousand work-related emails that were not among the group of 30,000 emails returned by Secretary Clinton to State in 2014.
I thought it would be easier to carry just one device for my work and for my personal emails instead of two.
Secretary Clinton used several different servers and administrators of those servers during her 4 years at the State Department. And she also used numerous mobile devices to send and to read email on that personal domain.
So it is clear beyond any doubt from the FBI's investigation that Secretary Clinton attempted to mislead the public. Now, intent comes into play here as well. Is Mrs. Clinton's memory faulty, or did she intentionally want to deceive us? If the latter question proves to be true, her presidential chances may vanish. Talking Points believes there is more to come on this story, as FBI Director James Comey will testify in front of the House committee tomorrow morning. And Mrs. Clinton's misleading public statement should be among the lead questions. With us now here in New York City, Brett Stevens, columnist for the Wall Street Journal. So what I'm trying to get at here is that if that you would admit that montage you put together is embarrassing, right?
It's devastating.
Okay, nobody can defend it, right?
Least of all Mrs. Clinton.
Okay, nobody can spin it. Nobody can say it didn't happen. I mean, a congressman lied, and we'll show you the congressman who lied in a minute. But it's beyond a reasonable doubt. Any fair-minded person would say, this woman's a deceiver, and now she wants to be president. So I'm saying, does it matter?
I think in any normal political season, this would destroy her candidacy. I mean, back in the 1990s, Bill Safire, the late New York Times columnist, called Mrs. Clinton a congenital liar. And what you just showed on your montage demonstrates that was true 2 decades ago remains true today. Even the fact that FBI Director Comey decided not to indict the evidence that he laid out shows that she has been telling untruths consistently for at least 15 months, since March of...
Yeah, in the biggest case of the presidential campaign so far. Now,
but it's not a normal political season. That's
okay, and it isn't, because you have Donald Trump, who's a very polarizing man. But I'm saying to myself, it's going to be harder for people who weren't that enthusiastic about Mrs. Clinton but didn't like Trump. It's going to be harder for them now to still pull that lever for her.
This ought to play into Trump's sweet spot, the belief, the view, his view that the system is rigged. There's a system for everyone, and then there is a Clinton exception when it comes to this kind of behavior. You know, what did they call it? Extreme carelessness as opposed to gross negligence. So that should play into his wheelhouse, except that in a week when he should be gaining strength from this report, what's he doing? He's talking about Saddam Hussein as being terrific when it came to the war on terror.
Yeah, I think he's a little bit more focused. He was last night but then in last night in his North Carolina speech, he accused Comey of, you know, he's got to stay, as you just put it out, he's got to stay in the factual zone and not, you know, blow it out so that he can be an object of derision. Now, Comey himself, the Wall Street Journal today has a good editorial about his decision, but people still aren't, establishment people still aren't seeing he's corrupt. Trump says he's corrupt, but you don't think he's corrupt, do you?
Look, in 2013, when he was made FBI director, we ran an editorial called The Political Mr. Comey. Jim Comey is terrific when it comes to prosecuting Martha Stewart, when it comes to prosecuting bankers like Frank Quattrone. prosecuting unpopular people, doing what the Washington Beltway thinks is the right thing to do. Very different story when going against not only the presumptive Democratic nominee, but the presumptive Democratic nominee who's going to save the world from Donald Trump. So this decision was totally predictable for anyone
So
who knew
you
the first
believe
thing
that
about Jim
Comey set aside, this is what you're saying, Mr. Stevens, I want to be very clear, set aside his sworn duty to uphold the law because he felt that politics, if he brought charges, would influence him.
The evidence that he produced is directly contradictory. It directly contradicts the conclusion that he reached.
Okay,
it was a purely
but why
political
did
decision.
he do it? Are you saying that he puts politics over honesty?
I'm saying he puts politics first.
You are.
Yes.
You're saying that James Comey, the director of the FBI, puts politics over what is honest in the criminal justice system.
This was a purely political decision by an FBI director who should not have been recommending in any way what prosecutors should do in terms of Mrs. Clinton's case.
Okay. Now, if that's true, and I don't know that it is, that's your opinion, right?
Always my opinion.
Okay. But you look a little, and forgive me, smug on the opinion. You look like you are 100% convinced that what you just said, that Comey puts politics over what's best for the country and what's right in criminal justice arena. You look like you're 100% convinced of that.
I'm only 95% convinced of anything I say, but this is my best judgment. But knowing it, if you follow Jim Comey's career over many years, especially when he was going after people like John Ashcroft in the first Bush administration, his record as a prosecutor, the witch hunt against Scooter Libby, Jim Comey is very good at going after targets who are already objects of hatred and derision among the liberal establishment in Washington. So when we wrote that editorial 3 years ago, just listing his record, we were relative loners. People were applauding Jim Comey as a straight shooter. This decision comes as absolutely no surprise that he would not take on a target as politically significant and as favored by so much of Washington as Mrs. Clinton. And I say that as someone who's no fan of the other guy.
Yeah, you're no fan of Donald Trump. But if what you're saying is true, then this country is in serious trouble because we don't have equal justice for all, do we?
No. Look, we've become a country where politics is the first refuge of scoundrels.
All right. Bret Stephens, everyone, thank you very much.